Top Alcohol Dragster and Top Alcohol Funny Car. Two of the quickest and fastest categories in NHRA drag racing. One step down from the professional ranks, they're called the Pro Sportsman categories in NHRA. The Pro describes the level of competition and the commitment it takes to run at this level. The Sportsman describes the blue-collar racers at the heart of the category and the camaraderie of all the racers that make up the top alcohol classes. Get ready to take a look behind the scenes at the blood, sweat, and effort it takes to race at this level. This is Top Alkahaulin.
Episode 2, Crown and Charlotte, coming at you from the NTK Nationals at zMax Dragway in Concord, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. This weekend we'll be following championship contenders Troy Coughlin Jr. in Top Alcohol Dragster and defending champ Sean Bellemeur in Top Alcohol Funny Car. When Sean Bellemeur joined the Bartone brothers racing team, it formed what many consider to be the ultimate dream team in the Top Alcohol Funny Car ranks, putting one of the best drivers in the class with one of the legendary tuners in the class, Steve Boggs, and a former champion car owner, Tony Bartone, all together produced immediate results. The first time that Sean Bellemeur drove for the team, he won a race. They went on to win the 2018 championship and are in the championship running in the 2019 season.
Hey, my name's Sean Bellemeur. I'm 38 years old from Placentia, California. I've got a wife, Ashley, 3 daughters, Peyton, Kira, and Audrey, and they run my life, house full of girls. I've been in drag racing literally all my life. My first race was an Ontario Motor Speedway when I was about 6 weeks old, the World Finals 1981. My dad raced, my mom was involved with racing, and so I was doomed for this stuff and actually started working on cars when I was like 6 years old, washing parts and stuff like that. So I've been involved in alcohol funny cars literally since that time. Tom Lemon and Jack Burr had a car in Southern California that my dad was partners in and actually drove for a short time. So really enjoyed growing up through there. I remember when I was a kid going to soccer practice and coming over to Jack Burr's garage afterward and literally washing parts in my soccer uniform. So it used to piss off my mom because she couldn't get the stains out of my uniform. So this has been a dream come true for me all my life. Raced cars with my parents all the way back to junior dragsters when I was 11 years old. I started in juniors and worked up through the nostalgia ranks and then eventually into alcohol funny cars. And this is where my heart is. This is where I feel like I belong, and I've never had more fun than strapped into an alcohol funny car. So back in 2015, I was actually at a nostalgia race with my boss Tom Shelar back in Epping, New Hampshire. We used to race nostalgia top fuel car that would compete against Tony Bartone and Steve Boggs in nostalgia. And I was joking with Steve Boggs and one of the crew guys, jokingly saying, hey, you ever need a guy to step into your alcohol funny car? I'd love to drive it, not thinking anything had ever come with it. And a little bit later that year, their driver at the time, Mickey Farrow, couldn't make a race. And so Steve called me and said, hey, do you want to fill in for us in Dallas, Texas? And it took me about half a second to say, yeah. And ended up flying back there and meeting the crew and getting along really well, and lo and behold, won my first ever national event that weekend, and for a short time actually set the national speed record too. So that was the start of a really good thing, and I knew at the time that Mickey Farrell was the driver of the car. I wasn't there to do anything but drive the car one time, and got invited back one other time in 2016, and we happened to win that race as well. And was actually offered the ride full time at the conclusion of the 2016 season, and at that time I actually turned the ride down. One reason being, and the main reason being, is 2017 was going to be my father's 50th year in drag racing, and I did a tribute car as a surprise to my dad, and I wanted to race that car with my dad, so I turned down the Bartone ride. And about a third of the way through the 2017 season, Tony Bartone and Steve Boggs decided to part ways with their driver, and they came to me and said, listen, we want to continue on with you driving the car, but we know your family has their own schedule, so we'd love to work around your schedule and just see how we can do. And so we put a deal together, and racing part-time, ended up winning, I think, 4 or 5 races that year and finished 5th nationally. So conclusion of 2017, I mean, it was something we had to do. The chemistry was there. My relationship with Steve Boggs had gotten really, really good. Our communication was really good, and so we put a deal together for 2018, and needless to say, 2018 was a dream season. It came out blazing pretty good, and in fact, I knew this was the right team for me because at Pomona, the very first race, got beat on a hole shot, and I was really bummed out about that. And Tony pulled me aside and said, "Hey, kid, we're gonna be okay." And we ended up rattling off 10 wins last year, and ended up with a perfect season and won the championship. And so This whole thing, from a kid that started out washing parts in a soccer uniform to actually being a part of an operation like this where there is no limitations. Tony constantly asks me, what do you need? What do you need to be better? It's a dream come true for me. I pinch myself all the time, and these guys I get to work with, I mean, they're the best in the world. Tony has literally handpicked these guys from throughout the country, and I get to be the one that drives the car that they work on. I couldn't be more pleased.
Troy Coughlin Jr. is a third-generation racer from the legendary Coughlin racing family. He started off in junior dragsters, working his way up the ranks, nearly winning a Super Gas World Championship, on to Pro Mod, and ultimately to Top Fuel. He decided he wanted to take a step back from Top Fuel and teamed up with the McPhillips family racing team in 2018. The team produced immediate results, winning the 2018 North Central Region Championship in Top Alcohol Dragster, and just recently clinched the 2019 Eastern Region Championship. They're in the running for the 2019 World Championship and trying to battle it out with Megan Meyer and Sean Cowie here this weekend.
I'm Troy Coughlin Jr. I'm driver of the Jegs.com McPhillips Alcohol Dragster. Worked my way up from junior dragster, got into a bracket car, ran a little bit of super comp, got into a pro modified car with my dad and a turbocharged entry, a little bit more in a top dragster, and hopped in a top fuel dragster for a little bit, and then worked my way into the McPhillips entry here. So just extremely lucky to be here. Love being here. There's nothing else like it out here. It's just fun. It's a way of life. It's a culture. I can't get enough of it.
My name's Steve Boggs, and I tune the Tony Bartone Brothers Top Alcohol Funny Car. And I met Tony in 1992 and tuned the car when he drove it. Been with him just about ever since. And I've been doing this since back in the 70s. Me and my brother started with an alcohol funny car when NHRA didn't even have alcohol in them. They were running blown gas. And then they switched to alcohol, so I've had about 40 years experience doing this, and I try to remember all the mistakes I make and not make them again, but that doesn't always happen. We got hooked up with Sean Bellemeur about 2.5 years ago, and he's drove our car full-time for the last 1.5 years. We won the championship last year, and everything's going real good this year, and hopefully we keep this act together, and who knows where we'll go. But he's a real good driver, a natural, which is hard to find, and he makes my job easier, and he says I make his job easier sometimes, but you got to work hand in hand in this.
Hi, my name's Rich McPhillips. My son Richie Jr. and I own this A-Fuel dragster. We've been in the A-Fuel class for, since 93 or 4. Next year will be my 50th year in racing. Started in the early 70s. It's just something family loves to do, and I expect to do it till I'm out of breath.
My name is Tony Bartone. I'm the owner of this 3-ring circus that we call Bartone Brothers Racing. We are racing a top alcohol funny car here in NHRA competition. I've been doing that for so long, I forgot how many years. I've been out of the driver's seat now for approximately 3+ years, and our driver is Sean Bellemeur, who's doing a great job for the team. As a matter of fact, we're sporting the #1 from the 2018 season as world champs. The car is tuned by Steve Boggs, and I have a love for this sport, and I have a need for speed. I started driving in NHRA in the late 80s in the super comp, super gas categories. In the early 90s, proceeded into the alcohol ranks. I was first licensed to drive alcohol dragsters, and my brother Michael was the first one to campaign an alcohol car in the Bartone family. I shortly followed in the early 90s with an alcohol funny car. I believe I met Steve Boggs in Canada at a race in 1993, and we've been together on and off ever since. We've won championships together, many races together, and I consider him today to be like an older brother. He's an older brother relationship. We're so close, and we have a a long-standing history together and won a lot of races together.
Alcohol Dragster comes down to, what, didn't we just see this 2 weeks ago? Looks awful familiar to me. Megan Meyer on one side, Troy Jr. on the other.
Like you said, a rematch of the Indy final, huge points implications. Both of these racers in the national titles hunt, trying to get it done right here. Troy Coughlin went red in the final there at Indy. Megan Meyer, both these cars have just been locked in the low 520s and 5 teens.
It's warming up out there. Is that a concern if you've got an injected nitro car?
Every one of the crew chiefs is telling me today they love the sunshine. Said the track was just almost too good earlier in the weekend that any point on the racetrack, if they didn't just have the thing on kill, they wanted to kind of grab the tire and get into the tire shake.
Well, these things, you've talked about it before when you've come up here. We're talking, of course, with Will Hanna, who is a former Alcohol Funny Car driver and a tuner / crew chief / consultant / these things need wheel speed. You've got to be able to spin the tire to get them moving.
Yeah, anytime it grabs the tire, what we talk about sticking the tire, you see them big sidewalls and big Goodyear sidewalls on the side of the tire. It gets a gyration cycle going, which leads to tire shake, and that can be the difference in winning and losing for sure, and it's not very often on the circuit. And also we're kind of in that period of year where we're transitioning from the hot weather tracks to where you had a little sunshine on the racetrack and you got some of that free wheel speed. You have to earn it here this weekend.
The McPhillips family that owns, operates, tunes, and runs that yellow and black car that Troy Coughlin drives is based here in Pennsylvania. They're playing a home game. Megan Meyer, the team out of Kansas, but they have raced literally all over the country. I don't believe there's anybody in alcohol category that's had a busier year than Randy Meyer.
Absolutely not, and I wanted to wait till they fired up. The championship implications of this round right here, if Megan Meyer wins, Troy Coughlin is eliminated from the championship hunt. If Troy Coughlin wins right here, he stays alive. So this is a huge matchup right here.
You think Troy didn't know that?
Well, if he didn't, I didn't want to remind him sitting in the water box.
Megan Meyer had to take care of her teammate moments ago to get to this point. In the Indy final, Troy got the yips on the starting line and handed the trophy over to Megan. I guarantee you he's thinking about that. I doubt seriously that she is.
Troy actually went in deep in the Indy final.
He chunked her in pretty good. Megan goes in deep. Megan had an 018 reaction time. She's hugging the center line, and Troy Coughlin Jr. is going to be hugging the trophy. 5:21, 279 miles an hour. Megan goes 5:26 at 273, and look at the yellow and black guys celebrating down there because it's a home game for the McPhillips team, and they just won at the Grove again. Even Jeg Coughlin in the middle of that down there as his nephew picks it up. 057 reaction for Troy, 5:21 on the track. Megan looked like she rolled in pretty good, was 018 on the tree, 5:26. Margin of victory, 11 thousandths of a second. As we take another look, Troy Coughlin went 279 miles an hour, and he's glad he did.
Yeah, I saw the reaction on the tree. I thought Megan Meyer had it with that kind of hole shot, but Rich McPhillips and that team got it done, put that Jegs car in the winner's circle and keeping their championship hopes alive.
Troy Coughlin Jr. has been running big speed all weekend long. There you can see the margin of victory. That's 11 thousandths of a second. And Megan Meyer's car has not been running the big speed, and that's what bit her in the final. She had the lead down there till, well, it looked like probably past the 8th mile, and then Troy Coughlin was able to power by.
You know, our team had a huge weekend in Reading a few weeks back. Picked up another national event win at the McPhillips Jegs entry. We won the national event, which is huge for our national championship implications. You know, it means a lot. The more races that you win means so much as the weekends grow into the year. So these latter parts of the year, like as the months go on into your season, this September, October portions of the season, the more round wins and races you rack in, the more emphasis these months and races mean. The further you go, you almost play as you go. You play your way into your October. So it's kind of our playoffs at this point in the game. So this is the fun part. This is what we dream about. This is what we live for. You know, we're lucky to be here. I have such a great group. You know, it's larger than life. This is not by any means an individual sport, for sure.
The way the point system works for both regional and national championships. On the regional side, you're allowed to collect 5 races out of 7, and them points can win you a regional championship. We were fortunate enough to win last week at Richmond. It came right down to the very last run of our season regionally. National championship, we get to claim 3 out of our first 5 regional races, and we get to claim 7 out of our 10 national events. So we have 2 more to claim this week, which is Charlotte, next week, which is Dallas. All of the 3 contenders for the national championship are here in Charlotte this week. I believe it's going to be decided this week on maybe 2 of the teams on where we all stand going into Dallas. 2 of the teams, including us, have 2 more national events to claim, and 1 of the teams has 1 national event. So I believe 1 or 2 of the teams are possibly going to be eliminated this week at this national event.
Sean Bellemeur, the reigning champ, and Chris Marshall. Chris Marshall is a long, long ways from home. I mean, technically Sean Bellemeur is too, but his race team lives out here. He flies in and drives. Chris and Brianna came all the way in from Oregon to be here. These 2 ran in the Indy final a couple of years ago, and Chris Marshall had the race won until a broken bracket shut the throttle blades and allowed Sean Bellemeur to go by. Watching over the course of eliminations, it really has looked like Sean Bellemeur's had the better car, but sometimes the stars just align and it's your day.
And the same scenario we saw in the Top Alcohol Dragster final. Chris Marshall still in the championship hunt, but if Sean Bellemeur wins right here, Chris Marshall is eliminated by my unofficial calculations.
The one thing about Chris Marshall's car is that thing is stupid fast when it goes down the racetrack. And you only got to do it 1 time right here. The fact that he pedaled once, the fact that he smoked the tires once doesn't matter. 1 good run here, and he could take down the champ. Brianna encourages her husband on the left side of the racetrack. Steve Boggs points at his driver and basically says, "This is what we hired you for, kid."
Wasting no time to go in.
Both drivers with a clean run down the quarter mile. Wind light says 541, 270 miles an hour. Sean Bellemeur, and the Bartone team celebrates. Tony's wife, Sia, is actually here at the racetrack for the first time in a while. She's going to get to celebrate in the winner's circle with all of her boys. Chris Marshall, a 549, 267 miles an hour, 034 reaction time. He made his best run of the day. Unfortunately for him, Sean Bellemeur made another spectacular one.
Yeah, like you said, Chris Marshall putting together a good solid run there in the final, but how about Steve Boggs, that Bartone racing team, Sean Bellemeur, 541, the hottest conditions of the day, getting it done and eliminating, by my unofficial stats, Chris Marshall from the championship run.
So this weekend's a big weekend for us. It's crunch time for the national points, and so you know, we stumbled a little bit earlier in the year, and we're on a little bit of a winning streak now, coming off the win in Reading. And you know, the last time I was told anything about the points, they said, "Hey, you took the lead back over in the national points," and I've stopped everybody right there and said, "Listen, I don't even want to know." I've been asked repeatedly, "What do you got to do to win the championship?" And I honestly don't know. I don't care. My theory is that we win every race the rest of the year, we're going to win the championship. So that's our goal here. We got a lot of work left to do, as do the other teams. We know it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the way, which is awesome. That's what this sport's all about. We know that it ain't going to be easy either. I mean, there's a reason that all these guys are out here swinging for us. Having number 1 on the car, we've got a target on our back, and we know that. And I love that feeling. I love that feeling of that pressure. Me personally, I try to drive myself to be better because of it, but it's going to be tough. So my theory is, we win them all, we're going to win the championship. That was the goal at the beginning of the season. When we put that number 1 on the side, there was one goal. That was not stare at our number 1, is to keep that number 1. And hopefully come Sunday night at Pomona, we're going to keep our number 1.
After Sean Bellemeur and the Bartone Brothers Racing Team's big win in Reading, they retook the national points lead and became in control of their own destiny. Brian Howe, Chris Marshall, and Shane Westerfield still had a mathematical shot, but coming into Charlotte, the situation is that with a strong showing, Sean Bellemeur could potentially clinch his second Lucas Oil World Championship. At an NHRA national event, the top alcohol categories normally get 3 qualifying sessions. The quickest 16 cars get to make the field. A single elimination bracket will determine the winner, and the quicker car from qualifying or the previous round gets to pick their lane. That's called lane choice. Friday is the first day of qualifying here at the NTK Nationals at zMax Dragway. The top alcohol cars are scheduled to have 2 of the 3 qualifying sessions today.
So we're out here day 1 at zMax Dragway in Charlotte, and getting ready to roll up for Q1 right now. We got two qualifying sessions today, and it's an exciting day. We're coming off of our win in Reading, Pennsylvania a couple weeks back, and the car's flying, and I love driving funny cars, man. This is when it gets exciting. So get to put your fire suit on and get all your safety equipment ready, and that's when the heart starts pumping pretty good. And you know, you have to not have a pulse to not get up to do this, because it's revving a 4,000 horsepower engine up, and getting to drive for Steve Boggs. You never know what this rocket ship's going to do. So man, I can't wait. So hopefully we get two quick hits in today and make a statement out there come time to close this championship out. Staging lanes, it's crunch time, and man, your hair raises up on your arms, and put your helmet on, put your fire suit on, and you get that jittery feeling climbing in the car. And you know, it's the most nervous time for a driver is right before the engine starts. Once the engine starts, they put that body down, you're pretty calm in there, but you always want to make a good first hit, because it's a little bit of nervous time. You never know what the weather's going to do. You always want to get a good one in there. So come time for Q1, it's time to go. It's crunch time. You got to make the thing to go down the racetrack. So a lot of anticipation for the first run for sure. Get them jitters a little bit, but once that motor fires, it's smooth sailing from there.
On our first qualifier, we look for track temperature, air conditions, and we've got some pretty good background. The last race we went to, Sunday race day, the conditions are going to be real close to what they are right here. So I got a pretty good idea where to start, where I can go, and where I can't go. Some days we don't get that, but it's going to be, the air's going to be almost exactly the same. The track temperature this morning may be 5, 6, 10 degrees cooler, but this afternoon it may even be a little warmer and the air a little worse, because it's going to heat up a little more. We're looking to run somewhere a mid-40, and it might even go a little quicker, which will be, you know, that's what you're looking for. You never know what you're going to get. Race cars can have their own way about doing something that you don't want them to do. But that's what we're looking for right now, and I'm pretty confident in that's going to work.
So we saw Colorado versus Oregon. Now we got Oregon versus California. And we're here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Brian Haug, Sean Bellemeur, the champ, over there on the right-hand side. Number 1, El Numero Uno in the Hussey Copper Redline Oil Machine of the Bartone brothers.
Yeah, Brian Haug again. Those of you who may not have been here when we was talking about it at the beginning of the session, experienced a pretty nasty accident at St. Louis Regional last weekend. And first round of competition, Yanni Lindbergh, his tuner, nearly identical McKinney chassis, same car he went 536 out here, the first car in the 530s a couple of years back, and won a couple of national championships. It's not too bad piece of pipe right there. They took Brian's engine and drivetrain out, put it into Yanni's car. And I know Brian said big tip of the cap to Johnny and car chief Ross for putting in the hours to make this weekend happen. Come down here, try to stay alive in the championship hunt. But the guy in the other lane, Sean Bellemeur, the defending champ, has really come on strong here the last part of the season. He got the points lead, and really the leader in the clubhouse. He can control his own destiny if he keeps on picking up wins.
Bellemeur, right side. How left side. Now got a really good car at the start of the season. Now trying to rally back from a crash. Here we go. 972, 60 foot. Haug moving around out there. Throttle open though. And Brian Haug puts up a 5.508268. Sean Bellemeur with a 564.1259 and a plume of smoke out of that car on the top end of the racetrack.
Yeah, it looked like Sean had to pedal it out there. And saw the 330 time a little bit off and heard him do a little quick pedal job. Got it out there. Got the car down the racetrack. Brian Haug, 550.268.
Annie Whiteley going to be number 1 qualifier after 1. 546.8 is the number 1 ET. Chris Marshall, number 2, 547.7. Matt Gill, 3, 549.6. Good enough for the top 3. Brian Haug, Dan Pomponio, Chris Houle, Brian Golick. That run holds up for 7th overall. Sean Bellemeur slots in 8. Tony Bogolo, 9. Phil Ez, Robert Thomas, Aaron Rochon, DJ Cox, Bill Naves, John Headley, and Ulfley Anders rounding out the top 16. This is going to be a very tough field out here at the NTK Carolina Nationals. Alcohol Funny Car, we got some hitters.
So now we're between Q1 and Q2. First qualifying run was proof of Alcohol Funny Cars being as hard as they are to drive. I did a terrible job at driving, and that's okay. I mean, I got the support of my guys. Tony grabbed onto me and said, "Hey, that's what happened. You know, that can happen." And basically what happened was the clutch and engine combination wasn't quite right. The car went out and shook, and I committed the cardinal sin to tire shaking an Alcohol Funny Car. I actually short shifted the thing in the 1-2, and fuel system reasons that can hurt the motor, and it did hurt the motor. And so we actually just changed rods and pistons and cylinder heads and stuff. So I've spent the afternoon trying to massage the guys on the back and apologize and give them any hand that I can. But these cars are a handful, and in 5.5 seconds or quicker, there's a lot that goes on, man. And then you get done with all that, then sometimes they don't want to stop. So that's what I love about this class. We got another qualifier tonight, and with the way the weather's been here, I can't wait, because my crew chief, Steve Boggs, the reason I love driving for him is because he swings for the fence, and we're going to try and throw a number on the board tonight. I'm really excited.
This weekend's going to be a pretty tough weekend here. We've got about all the heavy hitters in the country, but maybe 1 or 2. And right now, after Reading, we went into the points lead again. And we know that we got to keep the thing going. So the last race we went to, we won. The conditions are a lot similar to here, and we got to try to keep it going and not get messed up. And that sounds real easy, but all you got to do is get one duck out of line like we did this first round, and we didn't do very well. And after making 4 or 5 runs real good, now we got to go back to square one, start over, and hopefully can come out of here with a win.
Well, the Jegs and Phillips team is ready for Q1 out here at zMax. We got great weather, we got a fantastic racing surface, we got a great group of guys here, so we're ready to go. I think mentally as a driver, Q1's always the most exciting because we haven't been on the racetrack yet, so I'm excited, just ready to go. Just got to get up in the lane. As soon as they call us, we'll be the first guy up there. We're coming off some incredible laps last week at Richmond, and the car was just so aggressive last week, so I'm excited to see what we do this week. About just making it through the shake zone about 100 feet out, just the aggression this car has. So it's going to be extremely exciting with the great surface that we get from NHRA and the great tune-ups that come from these McPhillips boys. So stay tuned, here we come.
But Troy Coughlin Jr., number 4 in the world a year ago, the Jegs.com machine, really been turning it on in the 2019 season. And this whole A Fuel team is really, as I understand it, driver training for Troy, who has been very successful in the Lucas Oil Series, Super Comp, Super Gas, big money bracket racing. He has been a great driver from the grassroots levels right up through it. Has had experience, we cannot forget, in the Mellow Yellow Series, but decided, you know what, going to spend a little time in Top Alcohol Dragster, and that time has been so valuable for this team. He has done so well and contending for a championship here in 2019.
Absolutely, and it's been a great hot rod, the Rich McPhillips team. Rich McPhillips, senior and junior, tuning and running this car.
Oh, yeah, it's still green under there.
Absolutely.
There's still shamrocks all over that thing. You just can't see them, folks. McPhillips making it so. Rich and Rich Jr.
I mean, that car has just been an absolute bracket car in the 5 teams. I mean, we've seen some teams step up, and this team really at the end of the year is peaking at the right time and still in the championship hunt. They need a win here this weekend, and they need to win at their next race.
Right.
Try to have a chance to keep their hopes alive.
And as the weekend develops, here comes Dwayne Shields, peak antifreeze and coolant machine, former champ in the series, Boulder City, Nevada. Owns convenience stores out there, comes out here to race. And Troy Coughlin Jr. over on the right-hand side is in the championship mix. As the weekend goes on, we'll lay out the championship scenarios as best as we can so everybody understands. But Troy's got a shot. Sean Cowie's got a shot. Megan Meyer, the NGK Spark Plugs machine that is rounding the corner, has a shot. We're getting down to the wire. There is no countdown in the Lucas Oil Series because there is a combination of national events and regional events, and it's designed so you can't out-budget somebody and just go to more races than they can. You claim X amount of races and replace your bad races with good races as time goes by. But once you claim out, that's it. You can no longer get any more points. Now, you're allowed to go to races for the event win, but you just can't add them to your championship total. And so that's why there are multiple racers on multiple programs. But in the end, when one achieves more points than any of the others could get, even if they could claim their races and replace their worst points race, then a champion is decided. And sometimes it comes down to the final race. Sometimes it does not. All depends on what they do. Shields, Coughlin, 932.64. Power on 5:16.9, 2:81.07, and Troy Coughlin Jr. finally prized the #1 spot away from Shane Conway. First car in the 5.1 second zone. Dwayne Shields runs a 30 with an 8.
Troy Coughlin Jr.'s 5.16 with a 9 at 281 miles an hour put him solidly on top of the field after the first qualifying session.
Q1 here at zMax was fantastic for the Jegs.com McPhillips car. Got through the shake zone with a little bit of quiver early on. Once it got through that, it made its typical pass. Richie and the boys have this thing flying. So we're extremely grateful not alone to be here, but we got this thing working so well. So Q2 coming up, it's going to be dark, so should be really fast. We got a lot of great cars here, so hopefully we're going to step it up just a little bit, keep it consistent, and see what we got for a great track here.
We've completed Q1 for the day. We were very fortunate to qualify #1 so far. A very fast run, I feel, for the conditions. We ran a 5.16 at 281. I think the closest car to us may be a 22. So to have that much of a jump ahead of the second place car for the amount of quality cars that are here, we feel very fortunate. We have another round coming up in about an hour. Somewhere around 7:45, maybe 8 o'clock, which will be our Q2. And weather conditions have changed like always. The night runs are usually fast. So we will get after the car some and attempt to keep the #1 spot going into Q3, and also try to improve and see how fast this car will go.
problem over here on the Sean Bellemeur machine. That's the champ, the Hussey Copper Redline Oil machine. What's going on over there, Will?
Having a problem getting the body to latch.
That is a championship team trying to get the body down. They don't want to waste this run. Ryan Haug has already completed the burnout. They had their own problems down there in St. Louis. But right now, it's all about Sean Bellemeur.
Something maybe interfering with the body there, getting latched, not able to get all the way down. Either that or the lock on the front of the chest, the body not getting in there.
Now they are starting to run out of time. Safety Safarians just looking at the starting line, waiting for a cut sign. They're making a move. They're adjusting the body. Oh, this is just, Randy Meyer is now over there. And they're getting the cut sign. And they shut it off. Oh, that is just unfortunate. Meanwhile, Brian Haug, Cascade Machine car, Johnny Lindbergh's chassis, involved in an incident in St. Louis a week ago. And certainly in the championship fight, can get a solo shot. Ran 5.508 earlier today. See if he can improve. Great shot on Sunoco Vision. Right behind the machine.
Always love it when you get to hear one of these alcohol funny cars on a single.
Oh, tire smoke. 60 feet out. Brian Haug, 1:02.6. 60. I'm going to coast on down the Ram truck machine. So unfortunate for Sean Bellemeur and Bartone Brothers machine. Just a little glitch, but again, this is where that drag racing cliche, you know, better now than during elimination, comes into play. Whatever it is, they're going to figure it out in probably 5 minutes. Like,
oh yeah, the thing is, it's going to be so aggravating. It's going to be something simple that hanging in the way and keeping the body from closing.
Banana in the tailpipe.
After Sean Bellemeur was unable to make the second qualifying run, he fell down to the 10th position, while Annie Whiteley's 5:46 with an 8 at 271 miles an hour put her atop of the qualifying sheet after the first day of qualifying.
Hey, I'm Troy Green, car chief for Bartone Brothers Racing. Had a little issue yesterday in first qualifier. Car went out and shook pretty hard and did a little damage to the body. Had a deal that we missed, Joe. It was a pretty subtle deal, but it cost us our second qualifier last night. We start the car and I lower the body and I couldn't get it to latch, and so we had to shut the car off on the starting line and come back and kind of evaluate what was going on. We get back and we found that the two saddles were bent forward, and then these two tubes right here were collapsed, and this whole piece was folded forward, not letting the saddles hit the chassis where it's supposed to and let the latch catch the body. So we come back last night and ended up having to cut this apart and remove the bent pieces, build new pieces, sleeve it, weld it all back together, put new saddles in. We worked till about 1 o'clock in the morning last night getting this thing fixed, and but it looks like everything's okay for today. Everything fits well now, and the body latches, and shouldn't be a problem for the rest of the weekend. But something that we always have to keep an eye on is all of this structure underneath the body. Anytime it shakes the tires, it's pretty subject to tearing this stuff up.
Top Alcohol Dragsters. For those of you who stuck around out here at zMax Dragway, should be a doozy. Saw Shane Conway run a 5:22 out of the trailer earlier today. Troy Coughlin raised the bar by about 600. Got a monster 5:16 of his own. Really impressive. This team is just about anywhere they've went this season been able to find 5 teams. Low 520s to say the least.
So you're right, Will. This could
just put a cap on what a wonderful Friday we've had here at the NTK Carolina Nationals. Both of these cars are not set on conservative, I don't think.
Yeah, Shane Conway, Tom Conway, and the team, they hadn't seen them on the tour for a little while. Coming back out here to the last part of the season. Saw Shane and the team, they purchased the car, another car was formerly campaigned by Mike Manners, ran it earlier in the year. They just couldn't get it to run the way they wanted to. Went to Topeka and pulled this car out, still intact. Promptly went in the 520s up there at Topeka. A very stout car ever since. But Troy Coughlin and Rich McPhillips team sporting that pink color. Doing some support with the Jegs Foundation for Cancer Research. Supporting some great causes here in the month of October. A number of cars. Tip the cap to all the cars running the pink colors out here this weekend.
So the final pair, Top Alcohol Dragster, both at the pre-stage beam. Shoving the lever forward. Here we go. We'll handle the final pair of Q2. Conway goes nowhere, and Troy Coughlin went everywhere but straight. So that'll do it. Coughlin goes through 752 at 113 miles an hour. That thing was on a run down low, 937.60 foot. That was hunting.
Yeah, the car, they said they don't really set it up on kill early, but Shane Conway went 909, 60 foot earlier today, went up in smoke right there. And Coughlin went a little bit further down track and got into that dreaded tire shake and made a move and shut it off. And he's still number one after the first session.
Well, Will Hanna, the top 8 again: Troy Coughlin Jr., Megan Meyer, Dan Mercier, Josh Hart, Juliet Natas, Shane Conway, Dwayne Shields, and Jackie Frick rounding out the quick 8 here in Top Alcohol Dragster. It's been a pleasure. Glad to see you again. We will see you again tomorrow and inside topalcohol.com.
On Saturday, the Top Alcohol cars are scheduled to have one final qualifying session mid-morning and then run the first and second round of eliminations later on in the evening.
Something we hold near and dear to us at Jegs in October. It's a special time of year. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And something at Jegs that we've had since about 2003 is the Jegs Racing for Cancer Research Fund. And in October, we dress our cars in pink. We support the Stephanie Spielman Breast Cancer Research Fund, the James at The Ohio State University, Comprehensive Cancer Center, and Nationwide Children's. Cancer has affected millions, regardless of location. It's the cause itself, and it's something that we care about, and we really love the cause. And the more races and rounds we win, we love to donate funding to go into research to try and help the cure for that cause. And that in itself is just an awesome thing. There's tons of families, including my own, that have been impacted by cancer. So this is an exciting time. It's truly a personal honor for me to wear the color pink, and let alone that, the Jegs Racing for Cancer Research ribbon. So it's very meaningful for me, and there's just even that much more pride to be here this weekend and every weekend in October and every weekend the whole season long with this ribbon. Well, the Jegs.com McPhillips entry had a somewhat of an interesting Q2. The car went out to the right a little bit, then ended up shaking the tires. Went out to the right, could have recovered it just a little bit better, bringing it back to the left, but just didn't quite make it happen. Brought it out to the marbles and just kept shaking, so we aborted the run. So Q3 is going to be a little bit better. We got great weather here at zMax. Everything looks fantastic, so bring it on. Let's go. Tire shake is it's like a mini earthquake in your helmet. I mean, it's so short and fast, so it doesn't really, it's not like it's painful, but it's almost, I don't want to call it annoying, but it just happens so fast, and it's almost breathtaking if it's really hard tire shake. But when you got a lot of power like this car does, it can get pretty mean. I mean, you can crack things, break things. I mean, you can see on some of these graphs how hard this thing is shaking. I mean, how much power we're asking this thing to apply to the racetrack. It's extremely impressive what this thing can do.
Last night for our second round of qualifying, we were the very last pair down the racetrack. Conditions, I would say, are fair. They weren't poor, but the track was a bit bald. The pull meter that we use that tells us traction was a little bit on the low side, so we found the spot on the track was fairly far to the right of the left lane, so when the car went out, it kind of hugged the center line. It was hard to come back and got into a little bit of looseness out there, and we just aborted the run. The early numbers were good. It was probably going to run a really good number again, but Troy did the proper thing by just getting out of it and bringing the race car home. Now we go into Q3. Conditions I expect to be good. The weather's very similar. But getting back to that shake from last night, shake is just really a loss of traction. Some people call these cars can have a situation where it's weak shake and you can't get up on the tire. Other times you're just spinning the tire. So there's all kind of theories on what it actually is and theories on what the fix is. I'm not a big believer in weak shake in this type of car because we have plenty of available power, but anytime the car does not go down a racetrack that you have seen other cars get down, it usually points to something that we've done wrong with the car, a little bit on the aggressive side, something like that.
So the number one qualifier of the NTK side of the racetrack, Troy Coughlin Jr., the Rich McPhillips Hadman chassis, Brad Anderson Power out of Delaware, Ohio, and Dan Mercier out of Saint Michel, Quebec, just right down the road from there. Like, I don't know, a week ago. I feel like I just got back from Canada. But yeah, as we talked about last night, when Dan went 5:19, is they worked with a college engineering department on the injector hat here, the scoop, so to speak, of how this scoop works. It's a lot smaller intake than all the other ones, but it gets cylinder velocity that much faster.
Here we talked about, is there going to be a teen out there? Got two cars left to pull it off.
This is where we find out in the bump spot. 5:42.0 right now, so that is secure and official. Troy Coughlin is on a run, 9:18.60 foot, 5:12, 282 miles an hour. And look at that McPhillips team over there. Holy Christmas, 5:12, 282 for Troy Coughlin Jr. Goodness gracious. I said there's a low teen there, right? It's lower than teen.
You called your shot.
Wow, 5:12, 282, Troy Coughlin Jr., the shot heard around the world right here at Q3. That is just a little bit off the world record. Wow. That's what, 16 thou off the world record, maybe a little more than that, but look at that. Rich McPhillips says
5:10 is the world record.
5:10 with an 8's the
but
record.
That was at more nitro percentage several years ago with Bill Riker. So these teams are creeping up on it, and the atmospheric conditions are good, but they're far from mine shaft. Wow, what a run. Only a handful of racers improved their qualifying position in the first qualifying session, but Troy Coughlin Jr.'s monster 5:12 with a 6 solidified him in the number 1 spot. Brandon Greco anchored the field with a 5:42, but had engine damage in the first qualifying session and will be unable to make the first round. Earl Nichols Jr. will be subbed in as an alternate. After qualifying set the field, one of the monster matchups in the first round would be title contender Sean Cowie taking on former world champ Dwayne Shields. The winner of that matchup could potentially run another title contender in Megan Meyer in the second round.
The Jegs.com McPhillips machine had a great run in Q3. Out here at zMax, the conditions were fabulous. Rich and Richie, the boys, they got this thing hopped up. We have 5:12, 282. I can't say enough about these guys. I mean, the thing just, it's awesome. The run was incredible. It was extremely smooth. It just shook just a little bit early in the run like it normally does, and just once it does that, it's a slingshot. Just hauls the mail to the finish line. We're extremely excited to go up for round 1, running against Earl. The first round, he's an alternate, so we need to go up and turn a couple wind lights on and do some damage through eliminations. I mean, you know, this thing runs so well, and as of current, it's run extremely well. So, I mean, you know, when it's as smooth as it is, you can tell you're running mid to high teens, maybe low 20s, but really, all in all, you can't really tell. But when it's that smooth, you know you're making an awesome run for sure.
How you doing? Rich McPhillips Jr. here. We just got done Q3, ran 5:12, 282. Troy didn't mess anything up. Luckily, he did what I told him to do. It's about time. I mean, the car probably would have gone an 0, but you know, it's Troy. You can't expect much. Other than that, though, we had a little issue last night. I had him staged inside pretty good. Car went to the center line, got into some marbles, had a shake. Probably would have been on another 15, 16 lap, nothing stellar. We just wanted to go down. Then today we had the opportunity to get after it a little bit. The track was better than expected, almost was identical to Q1 with the track pull and the solid rubber. Last night the track got real thin after the 2 pro sessions. So gave it a little bit early, picked up the 60 foot. I think we went from a 930 to a 918, and that's pretty much where we gained the extra ET. So pulled through, kept the cylinders lit. Like I said, everything went smooth. Guys didn't mess anything up. Troy finally did his job. Dad listened to me. Finally, again, he's been holding me back for a while now. I think everybody knows that, but it's about time the world hears it. but other than that, everything's going great. Car's going A to B. It's listening to us. Hopefully, we just keep keep it going, get some round wins, and keep this thing interesting. Thank you.
All right, let's go.
Burnout pause here. Here he is, the guy everybody's talking about here at Top Alcohol Funny Car this weekend. The guy that struggled to go down the racetrack and hurt parts and not make runs. I think we're about to see something laid down right here. Sean Bellemeur.
Steve Boggs is always out there swinging at it. Steve told me last night, like, hell, I don't know if it would have went down the racetrack. I had to set up and run a 538. So.
Yeah, well, just a 538. It's kind of like what Jim Dunn said last night. He said, well, yeah, we want to do something finally, but we want to go faster. Yeah, maybe Boggs should tune with Jim Dunn. That'd be all right. Brian Gallick out of Allentown, Pennsylvania, D1 guy over here in the NGK side of the racetrack, currently sitting number 10 at 560, 259. Gallick and Lou, how do you say that? Scrow?
Yes.
Scrow, like escrow without the S.
Exactly.
All right.
Lou Scrow, former campaign and alcohol funny car himself, getting teamed up with Brian. Rip campaign, a couple of nostalgic double B funny cars. Got some experience in it, shows, but at least done very well in his start here in the Top Alcohol Funny Car category.
There goes Sean Bellemeur. 550, 268. Not what they were looking for, I don't think, but that's, puts him in the top half, puts him number 5, 550, 268. They'll be happy with that.
That gives them something to work with, a good clean A to B run. And throw Steve Boggs a bone. Look out. So good clean run by the team, obviously. The team's always looking to be number 1, not this top half. But give it some time. Give some data. Let's see how the weekend shakes out.
Eliminations at the NTK Carolina Nationals. Number 1 qualifier, Andy Whiteley. Brian Howe. Number 2, Chris Marshall. Number 3, Ulf Leanders. Number 4, Matt Gill. Number 5, Shane Westerfield. Number 6, defending champ Sean Bellemeur. Number 7, Dan Pomponio. Number 8, Chris Houle. 9, Phil Ez. 10, that's a good effort for Phil Ez. Brian Gallick. 11, Bogolo. 12, Bill Naves. 13, DJ Cox. 14, Robert Thomas. 15, and John Headley sneaking in there. Number 16 qualifier, 720. The only one that really didn't get down under power for the most part. I mean, for a lot of the part, but that'll do it for Top Alcohol Funny Car. Will Hanna.
The way the ladder shook out after qualifying created a scenario where all the remaining title contenders were on the same side of the ladder. setting up a possibility of each of the 4 title contenders racing each other in the second round.
So after last night, obviously struggling and not getting to make a run, I had to change up our mindset a little bit for Q3. So went up, backed it down just a little bit, get it down the racetrack, make sure we get our qualifying back a little bit. So it was nice and soft, but it went down through there. Now we got something to work with. So 550 flat, 268. But that gives the driver confidence going into round 1. I get to hit both shift buttons, kept the thing nice and straight. Both parachutes come out, had pretty good light. So I'm excited going into first round. Having Steve Boggs as your crew chief is it's a hell of a thing to have in your back pocket, because he's just one run away from making it go low AT. So I'm happy with the car. I'm very confident, and man, this is what it's all about. We come out here to qualify, but we come out here to really race, and I can't wait to let the clutch out in first round.
Okay, the last run we made was the last qualifier. We ended up, I believe, 7th, which is not our usual. But we've been fighting with the clutch this weekend because we had to do some work to it that we hadn't done before. And we're catching it, but it's a little slow. The car run too slow in 60 foot. It run pretty good going down the track. And hopefully now that we know the problem and know what we tried didn't only about 1/3 fix it, we know what we got to do to try to get it fixed, and hopefully in the next 2 runs we can get this thing on the right track back flying again.
And that brings us to our final pair. In Top Alcohol Dragster and zMax Dragway, you guys hanging tough, watching a little racing, all kinds of fun stuff. There's concerts at the pavilion. Duggins is rocking and everybody's having a good time. But the center of the drag racing world is on the track right now. It's Top Alcohol Funny Car getting ready to come out. Our final pair features Earl Nichols and Troy Coughlin Jr. Now, Troy is the #1 qualifier. Blistered the track with a 5:12.6. The number 16 qualifier was Brandon Greco. Greco unable to answer the call. The alternate process still in effect. So Earl Nichols, in this very, very unique schemed A-Fuel dragster, going to try to take on Troy Coughlin.
Yeah, Coughlin's been on a big roll here. Basically in a must-win situation to keep his championship hopes alive. He needs to win the race, and when he wins, he needs to not have Megan Meyer in the other lane in the final. So he needs a little help with the situation and scenario, but right now has to get by the first round. Earl Nichols, his car smoked the tires both hits yesterday. Got down this morning with a 5:53, which wasn't enough to get him into the field. Troy Coughlin ran a 5:16 off the trailer yesterday. Last night kind of got out close to the center line and clicked it off, but came back out today and lowered the boom with a 5:12, 282 miles an hour. And this car has just been an absolute bracket car. Rich McPhillips and the team doing a good job of getting that car dialed in, and pretty much everywhere they went over the last few races, this car's have been either been in the high teens or the very low 520s. Doesn't matter what the racetrack and conditions are. Definitely got it peaking at the right time, as they say. Need to start that peak right here.
Troy Coughlin Jr. playing the role of Goliath in this pair. Earl Nichols trying to play David. Nichols hung tough for a while, but Troy Coughlin Jr. still in the championship fight. 5:19.6, 273 miles per hour. And Troy Coughlin Jr. moving on to round 2. Moving on to round 2. Troy Coughlin Jr. going to run Jackie Frick. Josh Hart going to run Robin Samsel, Megan Meyer, and Sean Cowie. Dan Mercier going to run Jamie Noonan in round 2 of the Top Alcohol Dragster category. And if David and Goliath is the example we give, well, Goliath just picked up David and ate him.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of a wow run in itself. I mean, you go into the first round, and a lot of times when you have a bit of performance on your opponent like Coughlin did right there, you kind of put an A to B. And how about just having a 5:19 just to fall back and kind of be your A to B run and
Could have a Jim Dunn moment there, like, 519,
Yeah, you know, it was interesting, though. I saw the McPhillips down there on the starting line a little bit earlier, and just they gave me a look like there's sometimes when a look is all you really need to understand what's going on over there, and they've got it going on with Troy. Spoke with Troy as well, and he said, listen, it's got nothing to do with me, which I love the humble nature of Troy Coughlin Jr. They are still in the championship fight. And how about that, Will? All three of our championship contenders have all advanced from round 1 to round 2. So the scenarios are still in play, and everybody is still alive, and we're going to see what happens. Don't go anywhere, everybody.
Well, we got the W in the first round here at zMax. Going into the round, you know, it was just a little bit dark up on the starting line, so I missed the tree a little bit. I had my dark visor on, so it's kind of in between. The lighting on the tree really does make a difference for me, so I missed the tree a little bit, which I wasn't as satisfied there. So luckily, Rich and the boys give me a really good hot rod to get by the round, so they saved me there. So going up here, I put a clear visor on to pick me up a little bit, hopefully. But we'll run Jackie Frick here the next round, so we're going to have to be on our toes. John Fink, the group on that group over there, they're very good at what they do, so we're going to have to be on our toes and navigate this racetrack really well. This place is interesting at night. You got to adapt. This is the challenges of drag racing. You got to race morning, noon, and night. You got to be able to navigate the car from A to B. So this is part of the challenges. This is what we love. It's what we come for. So let's see what we can do.
We just got finished running E1 here at Charlotte. We did have lane choice. We went over to the right side. We thought it was a little bit better. Even though it was a bit tricky and thin, we found a decent spot. Calmed the car down a little bit. We didn't feel we had to run any of them really good numbers we've been running this weekend. So touch a little here, pull a little there. We've got notes, so we were a little surprised around a 19. We were looking for a 20 or 21, so it's still at a good 60 foot. Now we're going to go up probably in another hour, be somewhere around the 8:15, 8:30 mark for E2. Tough customer like all of them. They do a good job, Fink and Frick, and we're going to have lane choice again. We'll analyze that when we get up there and keep our fingers crossed and give it a good run. What we look for when people talk about finding a good spot on the racetrack, the groove is usually fairly wide at the starting line, so you have the option to move the car in a couple positions. You can put it inside, you can put it a little outside, you can go right down the groove in the center, but when you get up there and it's a bit thin, and we see that after certain classes that we follow, that they thin it out a little bit. We have a traction meter that tells us good placement of the car. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it isn't. You really have to go by your gut. We play with tire pressure a lot to try to make it safe, but we always try to find the best spot on the track to at least get through the first 60 foot, because 90% of the time, if you get through 60 foot, you're going to make it down the racetrack. And we spend a lot of energy up on the starting line analyzing the track and where we're going to position the car.
Phil Ez and Sean Bellemeur rolling to the puddles here.
One thing to remember when you go to a casino, there's a reason why they're all nice and fancy and look cool.
Because they make money.
Not because they give it out.
Yep. So, Phil Ez, Brad Anderson Power, Camaro Body, the Phil Ez Equipment LLC ultrasonic cleaner ride. As Will alluded to earlier, is he knows clean the jewelry with ultrasonic cleaners. And the Hussey Performance right over there, Red Line Oil, Bartone Brothers, for Sean Bellemeur, him and Steve Boggs, Tony Bartone, and he's I guess really, he is Top Alcohol Funny Club. As of late.
Just a great team from top to bottom, kind of a dream team, so to speak. Has the resources, has the sponsor, has Steve Boggs, and has Sean Bellemeur and a great crew behind him. Steve Boggs, if he was a baseball player, he would be in the 4th spot as a power hitter. He is always swinging for the fences. Going to be interesting to see what he does right here. Phil Ez will be there to knock him out if he falls off just any at all. That's plenty stout hot rod.
Great for all of us fans, and about to see who moves on to this next round.
Wow, Phil's car picked the wheels up, crosses the center line. Sean Bellemeur, 5:46.5, 2:67. And Ez picked the front end up pretty good, carried it out there quite a bit, and it just carried itself over to the center line. Maybe we get that one more time on the Sunoco Vision, but Bellemeur does his job. 0:24 on the tree and 5:46, 2:67.
Yeah, Phil Ez car kind of following the same track behind Grand Galac's car. Got the replay up in Sunoco Vision. Torque converter car, it just started and it kind of left and went right and kept on going right. Ez getting off the throttle and getting it back in his lane. Steve Boggs, Sean Bellemeur, and that Bartone brothers team just
that was a picture
on
perfect
a
run.
string. And how about old Bellemeur? 0:24 on the light, getting it done. That's why he's got the big number 1 on the window. Pomponia will move into the next round. He will face up with Andy Whiteley, Hopefully Anders, and Matt Gill. And how about that monster matchup, Brian Haug and Sean Bellemeur? Part of Brian Haug's championship implications is that Bellemeur can't reach the semis.
Yeah.
Brian Haug needs to win, and he can take out Bellemeur along the way. Bellemeur win a 46, Haug win a 45, and DJ Cox, who upset one championship hopeful, Chris Marshall, in the first round, he'll take up on another championship hopeful, Shane Westerfield.
Yep, absolutely. Will Hanna, thank you for joining me here for Top Alcohol categories inside topalcohol.com. And
you know, never can count out Steve Boggs. He's always one run away. So first round, I feel like we got our hot rod back. Left good. Thing made kind of a right turn and spin the tire out there. That's why I love alcohol funny cars, because man, you got to drive them, horse them around the track, and lo and behold, Boggs pulls a 46 out, put us right back in the hunt of things. And that was a feel-good run, and get some momentum built now, because this is a big run here, and I'm not saying the season's on the line here, but this is a biggie, and that's what we do this for. I can't wait. Brian Haug second in points Saturday night, second round in Charlotte. So it's going to be big. I'm excited. You know, and having a championship under our belt here, and having been with this team for some time now, these are some seasoned veterans here, and I lean on them a lot for their responsibility, their respect of the whole thing, you know, this is a big moment, and my guys are calm and cool, and you know, it's Steve Boggs once again. I just sit back, try not to screw up. So, you know, having that experience, we won this race last year. We got a lot of good data here. Once again, I'm excited. I just going to try and swap feet right and hit my shift points, not run into anything, and hopefully we'll have a win light tonight.
All right. Here we go. Championship implications on the line. Troy Coughlin, NTK side of the racetrack. Coming at your right side, car. It says Jags. Rich McPhillips Sr. and Jr. tune in this machine with the #1 qualifying position. They are the Eastern Region champion. They still have a shot. They're still alive for the title this round. Standing in their way is Jackie Frick, another one of the NGK spark plugs machine. And to me, Will Hanna, that is the interesting tie. Megan Meyer, the flagship for NGK. Jackie Frick, NGK'd out for this race, obviously using the spark plugs. Jackie can take down Troy, then Megan becomes a champion.
Troy Coughlin been running awful strong as of late. Top player of the clubhouse here the last few races. Qualified #1 at the last 3 national events. Running very strong. It's on a monster 512 out here earlier today. You see Dan Mercier on 517 in that same NTK lane. Coughlin holding a hot hand right now, but Jackie Frick, it's interesting to know, we talked about it. At first we thought maybe something was wrong with Jackie's car. That car's been popping awful hard, but here we go. The nitro's about to get full tilt.
Championship on the line, Coughlin and Frick. Troy Coughlin leads first. Troy Coughlin driving away, and Troy Coughlin will advance to the next round of racing. 5.207 at 278 miles per hour. And the Jegs.com machine advances Jackie Frick 548.8, 269. Just didn't have the muscle to hold down Troy Coughlin Jr. So the championship will continue.
They're going to take on Josh Hart, and Troy Coughlin will square off in the semifinals. Megan Meyer, Dan Mercier.
We've talked about it several times. Josh Hart playing the role of spoiler several times this year. He's going to get a chance to do it in the semifinals, but
So exciting. This is just so exciting to watch the Lucas Oil Series, Top Alcohol Dragster and Funny Car category. Those of you at home, late night, in your PJs, watching NHRA.TV, getting a good look at Troy Coughlin Jr. Now it's time for the Funny Cars.
and the hits keep on coming. Because here comes number 1 and 2 in points again. Both classes, second round here, number 1 and 2 in points running. First pair of each class. This is going to be a monster right here.
Monster matchup. Brian Howe, right side of the racetrack. The champ. Sean Bellemeur, sent to California, teaches Master Cam programs. Got Redline, got Roger Dean Chevrolet, got Hussey Copper on board. Last year had a perfect claim, won the championship, came out this year a little slow. Meanwhile, Brian Howe started off stout, hired Johnny Lindbergh to do the tuning, won the Winter Nationals, been real strong. Last race out, regional race St. Louis, crashed his car, went and got Johnny's chassis. They swapped the driveline, and now back out here, Johnny Lindbergh's still out there on the starting line. Bottom line, simple as this, Brian Howe needs to beat Sean Bellemeur.
Both of these Murph McKinney chassis have had success here at zMax Dragway. Brian Howe driving Johnny Lindbergh's car, the same car that made that monster 536 run a couple years ago, first in the 30s, first over 270. Won this event as a driver. His brothers won this event. A lot of wins between these two drivers. Sean Bellemeur, one of the best in the category on the Christmas tree. These cars very evenly matched. It's very likely this could be decided on the starting line.
Top Dragster, back to the staging lanes, please. Racing RVs, Top Dragster. Bellemeur, pre-stage. Brian Howe, pre-stage. Talking back and forth. RPMs, way up there. Their stage, here we go. Better reaction time. The champ, Sean Bellemeur, way out there, outside of the groove. Bellemeur hangs on for victory. It is a whole shot win. 546.9 beats a 544.7 by 15 thousandths of a second. And the Bartone brothers team going wild down there on the starting line. Fired up, high fives all around. They're going to go pick up their driver. And Sean Bellemeur is a champ for a reason. He drove the wheels off that car.
Wow. Those of you watching at home will get the Sunoco replay right here. All on the starting line, Sean Bellemeur, and he was wheeling and dealing in the cockpit of that Hussey Copper Bartone Brothers machine, hanging on for a whole shot win.
Half a car.
Just that much. Brian Howe was pushing that throttle pedal through the floor, 544, 270, a great run, but just not enough to unseat the champ. Unfortunately for Brian Howe, that ends his championship hopes.
And he outran him, 544.7. That's going to be one that will be carried for a long time. And so now, the semifinals are set in Top Alcohol Funny Car.
And we talked about championship implications. The hits keep on coming because it's going to be Shane Westerfield and Sean Bellemeur.
Wow, that is worth the price of admission all by itself. Hey, everybody, how about a big round of applause, all you people who hung out here, our Top Alcohol Funny Cars and Dragsters and championship contenders and all that action we just saw. To me, that was spectacular. So put your hands together for the stars of the Lucas Oil Series Top Alcohol categories. Great job, guys and girls and everybody involved. That was fun.
Obviously, second round was huge. Number 1 and 2 in the points, Brian Howe and us. And we've been battling all year long. He had the points lead for a long time this year. So that was huge. I mean, come time this time of year, Charlotte, it's getting to be the end of the year and every point matters. And so at night, I mean, there's some element about racing at night that is just awesome. And go up there and do the burnouts and back up. And I mean, even just as a kid, watching cars on the start line with the smoke hovering over the start line at night, that's stuff you dream about. And then just get to be in a position where you're fighting for a championship, one of the most awesome facilities in the world. That's the sort of thing give a guy goosebumps. And so go up there, and I knew he'd be ready. You know Lindbergh's a good tuner. You know they had it on kill. We did too. And I seen that tree come down, and I felt like I had a good leave, and the car kind of turned left on me. And this is where I wish everybody could drive an alcohol funny car, because they are so cool. They're the ultimate hot rod. because you can drive them and shift them and steer them, and I mean, they're like a big old go-kart. So, you know, it made a left-hand turn, and I wasn't going to lift for nothing. And so I steered it back in the groove. I hit my second gear shift. I made another move over there, and I hit the wheel to the right, and it didn't come back. And I hit it again a little harder, and it didn't come back. And so the shift light come on for high gear. I just turned the steering wheel about 20 degrees and hit the high gear button. We just stayed that way the whole rest of the way. And I swear I could hear them. And you feel like, it feels like an hour to get to the finish line when you're doing that. You know you're running good, but you know he's running good. You can hear him. And I looked at that cone, it seemed like it was 10 miles away. And I swear I leaned forward and I was rowing and whipping and doing anything I could to make the car go faster. And sure enough, went through the finish line, and I seen that wind light come on. And man, I mean, just, you know, the elation of the meaningfulness of that round was huge. And so that adrenaline all kind of hit at once. And then they got on the radio and told me we went 46 and beat his 544. And as a driver, there's nothing better than that, because I mean, this team, they put together the most badass car, I think, in the world. And I'm lucky enough to get to drive it, and all I can do is try to do my job too. And I got a chance tonight to kind of pick them up, and that makes me feel good. They've picked me up a lot, so I'm glad I got to give one back. And Brian Haug ain't going away. He's gonna take plenty of shots at us. And I look forward to that. I mean, that's what this is all about. I told Brian on the top end, we had a great conversation down there. And he was a true sportsman about it. He was great down there. And I said, you know, Brian, I said, you know, win, lose, or draw, that's what this is all about. When you got 1 and 2 in the world slugging it out at the end of the season here, we expect races like this. That doesn't get any better. I hope everybody that saw it on NHRA TV and you know, however they witness it, enjoyed the hell out of it, because we sure did. And now we got to go finish it. We got Shane Westerfield tomorrow, who's awesome, and we got to go finish this thing. You know, the goal is the championship, and we got to win one round at a time to get us there.
So into day 2 here at Charlotte with Bartone Brothers Racing. Much better day today than yesterday. Last qualifier we went 550, put us number 7. First round, ran Phil Ez, had a really good run. Went 546. Comeback service car, everything was good. Had Brian Haug in the second round, which was huge for us because he's right behind us in points right now. We're leading the points. Brian's number 2. That was a kind of a must-win round for us, and very, very nice driving by Sean. Goes out and puts a whole shot on Brian. We win with a 546 to Brian's 544. Almost feels like a big party here in our pit tonight, like we've won the whole deal, but got a lot more work to do tomorrow. Weather's going to play a big role in tomorrow's deal, so everything's put up. We're ready to eat some dinner and get to the hotel on time tonight and get some rest.
The race was scheduled to conclude on Sunday, but heavy rains moved in Sunday morning, postponing eliminations. The NHRA track crew tried several times to dry the track, but each time they almost had the track ready to race, another heavy rain shower would come in. Finally, the rain won on Sunday and postponed eliminations to Monday.
Well, race fans, I don't think this is going to come as a huge shock to anybody, as it is once again raining very steadily and heavily out here. Today's activities have been postponed. The schedule will run as posted tomorrow starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. the first pair of cars goes down the racetrack, and then we'll race till conclusion. Forecast for tomorrow is certainly much better, and you know, we certainly fought it as long as we could today. Would they have the track ready? About 3 or 4 times we were close to going racing when Mother Nature came back in.
With Megan Meyer winning her monster matchup over Sean Cowie in the second round, that eliminated Cowie from title contention. Now for Troy Coughlin Jr. to stay alive in the title hunt, he not only needs Dan Mercier to defeat Megan Meyer in the semifinals, but he also must go on to the final and win as well.
Well, yesterday rained out here at zMax. Creates a long day, so you get to sit here and you're down to 4 cars, and it's a long day, and it rains on and off, so it's almost like 2 or 3 days packed in one day. It stops raining, your emotions start to get rolling because you're showing signs of life. They're starting to dry the track, and then boom, it downpours again. So then you're back on chill mode. So now we're back here on Monday Nationals here. So Rich and the boys got the jegs.com McPhillips entry ready to go. We got beautiful sunshine, so let's get it on.
Well, it's Monday morning. We're still here at Charlotte, national event. Yesterday, Sunday, which is normal final eliminations, was a bust. Started raining, heavy, then got lighter. Thought there might be a window. It never happened. So we're going to run our last 2 rounds, hopefully today, after the 2 rounds of pros. And as always, we watch the weather. After all that precipitation yesterday, it kind of left today really nice. The corrected weather, what we call the density altitude, is very similar to a couple other of our runs that we made during this weekend. So we feel confident that we have a package to put together. The track we're hearing is fair, not great, but we all have to navigate the same conditions. So hopefully we make the right calls and get to a final round. Some of the things that we do on the race car itself for different weather conditions and track conditions. These cars are all about drive shaft and wheel speed. So if we have a car that looks a little bit aggressive on our data replay from a run prior, we can work the power level of the motor. We can work tire pressure up or down depending on what way the starting line's looking. We can even go into the bell housing and add or subtract some counterweight. Even to finesse that more, there's times that we'll even go so far as to change the hardness of the discs and the batch of the discs to help the car. But most of the time, that's all done through qualifying. That's what you're qualifying for, to get a really good race car come eliminations. So we feel we're at that place right now. For what's going on today, no clouds in the sky, nice and blue, clear. Weather corrected is very nice. We will probably try to run a mid-teen. We feel that's what the track will hold. We also feel that should be enough for our competitor. And it's always a bit of a crapshoot, but we feel confident in our notes and our data and the steadiness of this car that we can get it done.
Well, we sat in the rain all day yesterday. I mean, literally poured all day. And, you know, the one good thing about it is usually Mondays suck. I get to drive funny car on a Monday, so that's really cool. It's absolutely beautiful out today. I mean, there should be some huge numbers today. So big semifinal, obviously, racing my buddy Shane Westerfield. And, you know, there's a reason that there's numbers 1 and 2 on our cars. He's as good as it gets. So we got to roll up our sleeves and hit him with everything we got, because we know they're going to do the same with us. And, you know, I mean, it's a big day today, let's face it. You know, this championship's getting closer and closer, and I don't even know what the points are. I don't care. But I do know that we got to beat Shane and to make headway. So I'm really looking forward to it. And you get up to race against the best, and he's the best. So I'm excited.
Okay, it's been about 40 hours since we run, so we've got different conditions. We'll have to change clutch adjustments, fuel systems, ignition timing, tire pressure, all the little things we use to tune with. In that period of time, it changes. So hopefully we do have enough experience doing it, a lot of years. So the more you have, the better. So hopefully we'll go out there and make the right calls and try to win this thing.
And it's alcohol funny car time. And speaking of championships, the first pair out last year in the championship finished first and second. That's Shane Westerfield. That's Sean Bellemeur. Shane finished second last year after winning the championship the year before. The guy who won it last year is the guy who drives that Hussey Copper Redline oil car. Will Hanna has joined me up here at the Towers. We're going to talk a little alcohol. He's the guy behind InsideTopAlcohol.com website. Also does a little tuning and a little consulting and a little playing. Could be over right here.
Yeah, what a matchup, like you said, number 1 and 2 in points from last year. Sean Bellemeur been locked in the mid-540s. Shane Westerfield been back in the 550s. Tuner Jimmy Rector said he's been fighting it, but said he's going to dial it up and swing at it right here because you know Steve Boggs is.
Steve Boggs doesn't know how to not swing at it. I mean, you go tell Steve Boggs, all I got to do is run 10 seconds flat and you win everything in the world, and he'll go up there and try to run 4 seconds flat. Of course, that's why Tony Bartone pays him. Tony Bartone owns the car in the right lane. The New York businessman who won a championship as a driver now has one as an owner and is trying to get another one. For Bellemeur, he needs the scoreboard to come on the right side. For Westerfield to stay alive, he needs it not to. Game, set, and 5:38. 272 miles an hour. It's time to celebrate down there in the Bellemeur camp. 5:52, 267 miles an hour for Shane Westerfield. An 0:28 reaction time and a 5:38 elapsed time. Come and get you some of that.
Wow.
Wow, that's all you got to say? Wow.
I'm speechless. 5:38, and that right there, that clinches it. Sean Bellemeur is your champion. That clinches it. Shane Westerfield was one of 2 drivers that had a chance at catching him, but he needed Sean to lose that round. That makes Sean Bellemeur a 2-time champion now.
So they'll get to keep the number 1 on the side of that car one more time. And Tony and Sia and the gang fly out to California for another championship speech Monday after the Auto Club Finals. 0:28 reaction is brutal in one of these cars. 5:38 elapsed time is also brutal in one of these cars. 272 miles an hour ain't too shabby either. And Shane Westerfield made a decent run and was literally never even in it.
You know, I haven't told Sean all weekend. He's like, I don't want to know what the championship scenarios are. I just want to go out and win the race. So he may be surprised because I don't think the crew told him if he won that round, he's the champion. But, wow, that's putting an exclamation mark on it.
No, I think if you watched him up on the screen climb out of the car, I think he knows how big that was. And for a kid that grew up out on the West Coast, does computer stuff for a living, always dreamed about having an opportunity just to drive one of these. He did spend some time driving. He's raced in the nostalgia ranks as well. But when Tony Bartone called and said, yo, kid, you want to come drive my car? We're going to win the championship. He wasn't going to turn down an invitation like that.
An unbelievable run.
Yeah, that goes back like 26 years.
After clinching the championship by defeating Shane Westerfield, that set up a final round matchup with defending Eastern Regional champion Dan Pomponio.
All right, the safety safari has cleared off. You can see the track specialists and crew chiefs for the Top Fuel and Funny Car drivers out there taking a look at the racetrack because they're going to have to make a choice here. We will not have the normal prep in between classes simply because that's already been done. I think they're about to send the signal out to fire up the next pair. A couple of injected nitro cars at the ready. Josh Hart on the left side, Troy Coughlin Jr. in the right. Troy, who is still alive for the national championship in Alkahaulin Dragster, but he basically needs to win everything except the North Carolina lottery from here on out in order to make it happen. He has to keep winning to keep his hopes alive. It's as simple as that.
It's interesting to see Rich McPhillips Sr. over there taking a look at the left lane right before they decided to fire up, decided to stick with the right NTK lane that they've had so much success with this weekend. But big round, obviously a big choice to make right there.
I was actually wondering some of that as well, especially when they started scraping a little bit further down track. But I think what they're showing right now is, one, confidence in the choice they made coming in here, and two, confidence in the safety safari. And it's like, yeah, we know there's some oil out there. We know there was an issue out there, but we also know how good that group is when it comes to putting a racetrack back together, and we're going to put our faith in them.
Absolutely. The Mellow Yellow crew does an outstanding job of getting these tracks up to tip-top conditions. You know, as a driver, you're sitting there waiting on a big situation like that. As a tuner, you also have a lot of time to second-guess yourself. Do I change this? Do I put more timing in it, this, that, the other, change tire pressure? There's a reason why Troy Coughlin's in the championship chasing. That car has been like a high 5-team, mid 5-team bracket car here this weekend.
They ran pretty well last week as well when we were up in Richmond, Virginia. or Dinwiddie if you want to get technical, at Virginia Motorsports Park. He won that event, which locked up the Eastern Region title for him. But that did not count towards the national championship because, well, basically, he had already used up his allotment. So Megan Meyer sits in the left lane water box, and if she sees the left lane scoreboard light up, she will be the champion. Good clean start, watch down to the stripe. Troy Coughlin staying alive, 5:18 as he continues living in that rare air, 277 miles an hour. Josh Hart goes 5:31, 275 miles an hour. Reaction time was an absolute coin flip, but every number down the track, Troy Coughlin Jr. was out in front by a little more and a little more and a little more.
It is just so impressive how good that car is running right now. Rich McPhillips Jr., Sr., they've just got that car dialed in. It doesn't matter what the conditions are, nighttime, daytime, that thing just rattles off somewhere in the 5 teens. And great run for Coughlin and the McPhillips team. Josh Hart, a car that's been in the 5 teens recently, but just missed it right there with a 5:31.
Now, Megan Meyer, what they're hoping to do here this weekend is to lock up the national championship on the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series. Now, for Megan, she does not have to win this round to be the champion. She needs TJ to lose. It's as simple as that. If she wins this round, then it really puts the pressure on Troy. If she loses this round, she becomes a Dan Mercier fan.
Yeah, Dan Mercier has found the 5 teams up there in Virginia last weekend. Interested in talking to him this week, or earlier this weekend. Started running Top Fuel this year. It says some of the stuff, people that he's talked to in the Top Fuel pit area have given him some tips to help him make this A fuel car quicker. Whatever it is he learned over there in the Top Fuel pits is definitely paying off.
Yeah, the car's running really well right now. They ran a 5:12 up in Richmond. Of course, that was Richmond. Megan Meyer chasing a championship. Dan Mercier chasing a trophy. Troy Coughlin Jr. will race the winner. Both drivers away on the green. Megan gets a little bit of an advantage. How about a 5:18, 275 miles an hour? Megan Meyer will race Troy Coughlin Jr. in the final round. 5:21 for Dan Mercier, 279. There's not a whole lot of drivers can say they slowed down to a 5:21 at 279, but Dan picked a bad time to slow the car down a little bit, and Megan and Randy and the NGK folks are in the final round where they will try to come back and clinch a championship.
Great run there. Randy Meyer, that team bouncing back, finding the 5:18s, responding to Troy's 5:18 with their own 5:18. Teams kind of bounced around in performance. That 5:18 they ran in qualifying was at night. Randy Meyer, they have so many runs, so much thick logbook to go back on. Got it done when it mattered most.
So we'll go into the final about as evenly matched as you can get. Megan and Troy with the championship on the line. And it's kind of a unique championship scenario. We'll explain all that to you when we get back to the final round. We've got
As you can see, we're hustling for the final, but what a day. I didn't even know that what was at stake in that semifinal, but we won the World Championship. How about that? Here in Charlotte again. I don't know what to say about this team. We're hauling butt up for the final at Steve Boggs, 5:38. We'll see what we got for the final and hopefully be talking as champions today too.
We're getting ready to go in the final, and as far as our national title chase goes, you know, it's coming to a Hail Mary. Megan has to, if she oils the track down or crosses the center line, that opens up the gates for us to squeak in on it, which is kind of a rare situation. But, you know, stranger things have happened. It still is a possibility, but, you know, it's definitely going to make it a challenge. But we're going to go up there and put our best foot forward and try and get this thing in the winner's circle.
How you doing? Rich McPhillips Jr. here. We just got back from the semis. We ran a 5:18 with a 1 to Josh Hart's 5:30 something. We had a little drama up there. There was an oil down right in front of us. They did a complete track scrape and starting line prep. NHRA guys did a great job again. We weren't too concerned once we saw them pulling out all the equipment. They know how to do it, what it needs to be done to be right. So we stayed in the right lane. Car went down. We were a little soft. knowing that the track wasn't ideal or as good as it has been the previous days. So it went down, got a win light. Now we're going into the final. We have lane choice to Megan. She also ran a 5:18 with a 6 though. So we're here. We're going to try to light another win light, get another trophy, another check, and just keep rolling. There's still a possibility at second. There's still a slight opportunity for the world, but want everything to stay safe, everybody to do well, and if it happens, it happens, and we'll see. All we can do is keep winning.
Timed out just right. Alcohol funny car. Final round. Dan Pomponio. Left side. Sean Bellemeur. In the right side. Now, Sean is already locked up. The grand prize. The national championship. He'll wear the number 1 again next year in the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series. But there's still a trophy that says NTK NHRA Nationals that has yet to been decided. And Dan Pomponio would sure like to steal that one away from him, but he's got a monumental task in front of him.
I believe this is the third zMax years in between. What a run Sean Bellemeur made in the last round for the Clinching the Championship. Throwing the big hammer down with the 538, talking to the team in between rounds. Man, that was an exclamation mark. I was like, where did that come from?
You know, that's interesting because Austin Coyle and I still keep in touch. He is a avid NHRA.TV follower and is quick to point out things when I'm wrong. But he had a saying for all the years he was driving the car, and his saying was, it's never nothing. And it used to drive him crazy if the car did something and he couldn't explain it, especially if it went too fast. If he expected the car to run whatever the number is. If he expected the car to run 495 and it went 490, and he didn't know why, it would drive him crazy because he couldn't do it again if he didn't know why he did it in the first place. And I got to believe Boggs has kind of that same mentality, as meticulous as he is over there.
Yeah, they've definitely got that thing going around. Fighting things with bell houses, things dialed in. They got it dialed in just the right time.
What does Dan Pomponio do to win this race?
Dan Pomponio usually plays his own game and tries to get down the racetrack. He's great on the line, but so is Bellemeur.
Better reaction was Pomponio, but you saw him pedal it, and it is game, set, match, and national championship for Sean Bellemeur. 5.405, 273 miles an hour. 040 run reaction time's not bad. Pomponio's reaction was 008, but about the time he was out there 100 feet, he had to pedal it. Happened last time, happened again this time, porpoised twice, and he was out of the race, 6:12 at 138. Congratulations to the guys down there on the starting line, from Tony Bartone to Steve Boggs and their driver, Sean Bellemeur. That is one stout team.
You know, it's not often that a Top Alcohol funny car does the rear wheel 60 foot. You see the champion license plate the team just put on the back of the car for y'all NHRA.TV viewers, but it's not often you see a rear wheel 60 foot, but it's very possible that Dan Pomponio did it right there in a funny car. They had that thing hopped up. It had the front end way in the air, and unfortunately for them, it turned into tire shake, but they obviously felt like they needed to go up there and take a shot, and for good reasons, because that champ team, Bartone brothers, Steve Boggs, Sean Bellemeur, and the whole team, get it done right there.
I'm sorry, Will. I think it's interesting that, you know, Pomponio's car shook very violently last time as well. You know, they certainly wouldn't have gone back and hopped it up. I got to believe you go back and try to calm it down, and they just didn't quite get there enough. But you got a championship-winning team that is headed down the return road to pick up their driver. We're going to bring him right down here in front of the grandstands and chit-chat with him here in just a couple of minutes. But 5.405 after a 538 the round before, man, those guys ain't kidding. As they roll around the corner and get to set to battle it out for the final time this weekend.
Both teams ran a 5:18 in the semifinals. Troy Coughlin ran a 5:18 with a 1, and that was enough to get him lane choice. Interestingly enough, I believe Megan ran the left side over here. So
she did.
Not that it played too much of a factor. Obviously, NHRA Safety Safari has his zMax Dragway set on kill. Lane choice, not too much of an issue.
Here's the situation as far as where the points go. Megan Meyer has the championship locked right now. She could go home, and she's a champion. By rule in the NHRA, if You oil down the racetrack. If you have a problem, there is a point penalty involved with that. Megan, with NGK on the side of her car and NGK on the scoreboard and a whole bunch of NGK folks in the house, wouldn't dream of not running this final round. And there's, the old saying, they're racers. You could go home right now and be the champion, no matter who wins the round. But they're racers. They want to come and try to have a 2-trophy day. If they do, it'll be pretty incredible. At the Auto Club Finals last year, all 4 professional champions won the Auto Club Finals. That's a pretty rare thing to have happen. We got an opportunity here to have 3 Lucas Oil competitors have 2 trophy days, and Steve Jackson's got a shot to do it as well in the Pro Mod.
You think all the lines have been double-checked or triple-checked on Megan's car a couple times?
I think, and I'm being serious, I don't think they've done anything different. When you get to this point of the season, you've had the success, do not bust up the routine. But yeah, they might have double-checked all that. It's the old story. You can't get into a playoff scenario, into a championship scenario, and then change your game plan.
I see, it's been fun watching this championship race. A lot of them are friends. Some of these situations have been developed in this week, the last couple of races.
Yeah, I have pretty good relationships with a lot of folks that are out here racing as well, and my whole deal is like, I want a safe race, I want to see a good show for the fans, and I want all my friends to come home safe at the end of the day. But right now, Megan is trying to put an exclamation point on her championship, just like Sean Bellemeur just did on his.
There's also, in addition to championship implications, Troy Coughlin is trying to get around Sean Cowley, not only for the championship, obviously, but number 2 spot, but Lucas Oil money up there.
Hey, 2's better than 3, no question about it. So the final 2 of our Top Alcohol Dragster rolling in right now. Let's see if the McPhillips family can get the race win on Megan's championship weekend. They leave almost as one. On the front of Megan Meyer's car, it says the championship awaits. The championship awaits no longer. Megan just picked it up in 5.14 seconds at 280 miles an hour. TJ goes 5:16 at 281 miles an hour, and he wasn't even in the way. Megan Meyer left first, crossed first, gets the win. Take another look. Not much wrong with that. And she is officially the Lucas Oil champion and the NTK NGK champion.
I think there's going to have to be a wide angle lens for the winner's circle picture here with all the NGK people in the house. But what a great win for the Randy Meyer team getting it done here at the NGK race. And she's such a great ambassador for the Top Alcohol Dragster class, does a lot of stuff on social media, and she's going to be a good champ representing this 2019 championship.
Congratulations to Megan. They'll have a little celebration up at the top end of the racetrack, and then we're going to bring her down on the return road, and we're going to chat with her. We're in the turnaround window for all of the pros, and we're going to have time to meet all of our sportsman champions down there before we get into the pro finals. After that, we will have a winner's circle celebration for the pros. But Megan Meyer jumps out of her car on a year when she finally accomplished 2 dreams. She won Indy a couple of months ago. She won the championship today.
Second championship for Randy Meyer Racing, but got to believe this one's a little bit sweeter for him.
Yeah, when it's your daughter, it's going to be a little sweeter. So Megan, a 2-trophy day.
We just got done running the final round here at zMax with the jegs.com McPhillips entry. Wind light didn't come on in our lane, but we were involved in the quickest final round in Top Alcohol Dragster history. It's been a fantastic season this year with this car. My team's worked extremely hard. We've gone through a lot of challenges. We've tore up a lot of stuff, We've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I mean, you travel all over the country, and you not only learn a lot about yourself, but you learn a lot about others. When you race for something more than your own success, it's something larger than life that you're competing for. So I'm extremely fortunate, extremely lucky to compete with each and every one of these guys. So competitors and my team. So I'm the luckiest kid in the pits, and that's a fact. So can't wait to be here next year.
We just come back from getting a tail whooping in the final of Charlotte National event. I guess that's why she's going to be called world champion, because she won the final round against us. It was, from what I'm told, possibly the fastest side-by-side race at any national event. We lost by 2 hunters. We ran a 5:16. She ran a 5:14. We both had really good half speed. We both had good top-end speed. So it was just one of them all-out good drag races that people like to see, we like to be a part of, and we will turn the screws and try to make it better.
That's why we're here, right there. What a weekend. World Championship, running 5:38. I still don't know where that came from, but that's why Steve Boggs works his magic. We went 5:40 flat in the final. Straight as can be, smooth. Only downside was Pomponio left on me, which he usually does. That's okay. I can't say enough about this team. This car, we got hot at the right point. Steve Boggs, Tony Bartone, this team, all our sponsors, Hussey Gaskets and Red Line Oil, Roger Dean Chevrolet and Mastercam. I just can't say enough about them. I just do my best to not cross the thing up and hit something. I'm at a loss for words. Every run I get to make in this car, I consider it a blessing, and I just can't wait to do it again.
Well, I told you we was going to try to pull this out, and we did. Won the championship too. Didn't expect that right now, but it's 2 years in a row. Can't hardly beat that. Takes a whole lifetime to. Everybody says, "Well, it didn't look too difficult." Well, it's more difficult than you think, and it takes a whole team. It takes an owner, a driver, a crew, and a crew chief. And leave one of them home, you might as well not show up. Sean does a great job, the guys do a great job, Tony does a great job, and I do the best I can.
Aussie on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I'd like to give a big thanks to the Bartone Brothers Racing Team and the McPhillips Family Racing Team for letting me follow their teams throughout the weekend at Charlotte. Also like to give a big thanks to the NHRA broadcast and media teams for all their assistance in making this Top Alkahaulin episode possible. Stay tuned. In early March, we're going to release episode 1 from the 2020 season, coming at you from Pomona.